Hello, welcome to this space. Here we are talking about business, development and technology. We are also promoting African success stories, and we stay loyal to our ambition of driving digital for Africa progress. Here, this is Yellow Business Podcast. Welcome, Ayuk.
Thank you very much, Esther.
So, how are you?
I'm doing okay, and you?
I'm fine. I'm quite good. If you want to subscribe to this program, just click on the button subscribe. And if you don't want to miss any notification of a new video podcast, please just click on the bell button to activate this notification. So Ayuk, we are very proud to have you in this program.
My pleasure.
Yes, and I was just saying that you have an incredible experience. You have an incredible story. And I just wanted you say it with your own word, because if I start it will be like I'm just like, you know, those pom-pom girls that are saying that, woo, I'm very proud of what this guy is doing. So please tell us about your experience, about all this incredible initiative that you have to drive digitalization here in Cameroon and even in Africa.
Thank you, Esther. It's my pleasure to be here at the Yellow Business Podcast. I'm Ayuk Etta. I'm the founder and CEO of MTN Hub. And MTN Hub is a digital innovation hub where we do three things. We do technology ecosystem development, venture startup building and support, and we do technology talent acceleration. My background is computer engineering. I have a degree in computer software engineering as one of the pioneer badges from the University of Boya. And I've been building technology businesses for over 10 years in Cameroon and across Africa.
Allow me to cut you. I think that you are so young to have this very, very long experience. Where does this passion for technology and everything related to fintech, to business angels come from?
Usually when I tell this story, it's usually shocking. I come from a background where everybody focused on agriculture. My parents were farmers, so I used to go to the farm and all of that, harvest vegetable and things like that. I went into technology and computer because I wanted to be able to take care of myself, to have more resources, more money. It didn't start with passion. It started with solving my basic need. I wanted to do more, to solve my basic problems. So I went to study computer engineering. And when I landed in computer engineering, I realized that this is a whole world on its own. And I realized that you could use computer technology and digital, and you could solve problems across the entire world. And you could create a path for yourself. You could create a path for your family, and you can create a path for your community, and you could lift yourself out of poverty. And that is where my passion for technology and computers started.
And this is very interesting, because from what I see, your motto is really aligned to MTN vision, that is empower and connect people through digitalization, just to ensure that we will contribute to Africa's development and so to the Cameroon development. And this allow me to introduce our theme today, that is how we will overcoming challenges to bridge the digital divide in the local economy. How will we ensure that with the digitalization we are really contributing to push? And today the discussion that we will have, it will be like our model, and we will share together with the people that are watching to us how you are using and contributing to impact the digital to ensure that it really change people's lives. So my first question, because everybody is saying digital, everybody is talking about digitalization, and a few months ago I did a master class where I asked the question to the people, what is digital, what is digitalization? Everybody knows about digitalization, everybody has something to say around it, but I discovered that for many people it's just related to phone or internet. So being an expert, I wanted to have a clear definition from an expert that people can use as a reference. Please, can you define the digital for us?
Yeah, you're right. A lot of people kind of mix digital and the internet and phones and computers and all of that. But in terms of definition, digital is the use of electronic technology to store, to process, or to transmit data or information. And this information is in form of digits, which is where the word comes from, ones and zeros. Right? Where internet is maybe merely interconnected network of computers. Right? And it is used to present information or access information or transmit information. So the digital is the use of electronic technology to store, to process, and to transmit information. And it is a more broader scope because you have like your smartwatch, your smartphone, a computer, a smart device in your house, a TV, internet itself, servers, and all of that. So you have all of this broad space of what we refer to as digital, which is the use of electronic technology.
Okay, and I really like this definition. So now my question is, how do you define the digital divide?
So digital divide is the gap between the people, the nation, the communities that have access to this electronic technology, which we call digital technology, versus the people that don't have it. That is the gap. And for some countries, it is small. For some countries, it is large. For some communities, it is small. For some communities, it is large. So the digital divide is that gap between the people that have access to digital technology versus the people who don't have access.
Okay. So it's quite simple finally.
It is simple.
Okay. So this said, I would like to know, because yes, we are talking about digitalization, it will contribute to drive African development. So can you share some insight of what digital or digitalization can bring to the development, can bring to connecting, to ease connecting people, those kind of things? Can you share some insight with us, considering that in Cameroon, for example, less than 44% of people are, for example, connected to internet, and I think that less people also have access to internet. It is still less than 50%, and for the women, the case is more and more critical, because even if the women are those driving informal economy, and when we know the potential behind the informal economy, and we see that women are still those very far from digitalization, how do you read these figures, this situation? How do you see that we can go beyond this? But let me structure it better, because what I am expecting is first share with us what can digitalization bring to us, and when you see those critical and very, I would say, poor figures that we have in Africa, mainly here in Cameroon, how do you read these figures?
So in terms of the first part, I think that so I have this mantra that I always say, that a young man or woman in Cameroon or any part of Africa with a computer, the right ecosystem, and access to internet can create a path for themselves. They can live themselves, their community, and their family out of poverty. So for me, I think that the most important goodwill of digitalization is to make the life of communities better. And if the life of communities better by offering more opportunities, by offering access to more information, by offering access to more markets, to small and medium-sized enterprises or sole proprietors, and connecting them to more people that can either educate their families or educate their business to grow further. If this is done, then this leads to better state of living, which leads to an overall improvement in the economy and sustainable development. This is what I think digitalization can bring in a nutshell. We can go in details and talk about all the different aspects of the economy that it can improve. It can improve healthcare delivery, it can improve business, it can improve transportation and all of that. Overall, it helps for the improvement of the state of living for the population. And if that happens, it increases the overall output of the economy, right? So this is like the first part.
Yeah.
And
for the second part, it was more, how do you read the situation of Cameroon and for Africa overall? Even if we know that in some part of Africa, digitalization is more advanced than, for example, in Central Africa. So I wanted you to share some insight with us, the situation with us in maybe 2 or 3 African area, and here in CEMAC zone specifically, what is really prevent us to drive this digitalization and take all the advantages of this digitalization?
Okay, I've traveled a lot across Africa, and I think I've kind of like had a feeling of what digitalization and how it's touching life across the continent, and how those numbers looks like. For Africa as a continent, those numbers are not good, taking into consideration where we are today in the world and where the entire world is going. And I'm going to give the information versus some countries that I've visited in Europe. I'll start with Europe. I have spent some time in Estonia, which is, they call it the first digital, the first 100% digital society in the world. And Estonia has 99% of all the government or public services digitized. The only service that is not digitized is to file for divorce.
And we can understand why.
So the one that asked that why is it not possible to file for divorce online? The people that were explaining to me, they were like, well, we don't know. So and in my own explanation, I was like, it could be bad to file for divorce online because you can sit with your husband or your wife at home and they'll file for divorce and they send you a notification that, oh, you have to leave this way. But you could have a card, you could go to the train station, the bus station, and you swipe, it's going to open the door and you can go. And like everything is digitized except that service. Okay. Let me circle back to Africa. I spent some time in Nairobi and I moved for at least 2 weeks without using cash. So I could pay for everything with M-Pesa. Mobile money, right? And the drivers that were picking me up were paying also without asking for cash and everything, right? And then I see an African country that is breaking the digital divide and closing it, even for taxi people, even for people driving motorbike and all of that, they could receive electronic payment. Okay, when I circle back to Cameroon or the CEMAC region, I think that we are improving. Considering from 2000 when we started hearing about mobile money, right up to today, my mother uses mobile money because that's the only way I told her that I would be able to send you money, right? And so she can go to a mobile money kiosk, MTN mobile money, and cash the money out. So if I look at that time span, it's improving, but it is slow. And I think that it can be faster. And if it is faster, then we can achieve more, right? The aspect of digital divide comes because of a couple of reasons. One is socioeconomic, right? And socioeconomic means richness or poorness, right? Middle class and all of that. Is also geographic. Where do you find yourself in the city or in the country? Rural or urban areas, right? And then also education, right? Are people educated about what the possibilities about all of these are? Do they even have the basic education to understand digital technology and how to use it, right? And then you can start talking about things like infrastructure and policies, right? I think that the reason why digital transformation is slow in the CEMAC region is because the standard of living, first of all, is lower because of socioeconomic reason. We have more rural cities or more rural places in CEMAC region than big cities, as you will compare to other countries. And this gives this divide more. And when you are in the rural area, we still struggle with education. Are you educated enough to be able to have access to all of these things? The other part is policies and infrastructures. Are the infrastructures there? And when you look at the coverage of internet connectivity, do we have it in the entire country? I have seen old fathers sending voice note on WhatsApp. It means that they can learn if they have it. It means that if they have an ecosystem that can support them, they can learn. So, but do we have the coverage? What about phones? Are phones cheap enough? Are phones that have the necessary digital tools cheap enough and all of that? So I see all of these things as the reason why our digitalization or digital inclusion is lower compared to the other places that I have.
And you said something when you were talking about the state, the policy. You said that in some countries, the government is really invested to push the digitalization. And a few months ago, you organized this international tech summit. Could you tell us more about this summit and how the state contributed to support you? I'm not talking about financial. I'm not talking about it. It's just to see how to drive it, just to ensure that people are more and more educated on digital.
So when we designed the Cameroon International Tech Summit, the first goal was to close the digital divide internally. And internally, by that I mean our own country. Because I think that in Cameroon, or most Africans always have this African dream. It is one Africa. We are going to change Africa. But you cannot change Africa without changing your country. There's no way, right? You cannot attack it all. Everybody needs to hold their own country and fix it. And if you have those fixed countries come together, then you can have a fixed Africa. So Cameroon International Tech Summit was an attempt to have a thriving digital ecosystem in Cameroon. Because usually in Cameroon, when we talk about economic numérique or the digital economy, it's Yaoundé, Douala, and sometimes Boya, sometimes Bafoussam, right? But and others times nothing. So I was like, you know what? Technology is for everyone, and innovation is everyone's business. And if you want this to be really true, then you need to take digital to every corners of the country. So before the summit, we decided to do a digital roadshow where we move from city to city and rally young people that have an idea of digital technology and they want to do something impactful with it. And we rally them in each of these regions. And the reason why we did that was to find the young people in each region of the country that are passionate about digital technology. Because when you have passion, you could push it. And when you push passion, it could create marvelous things for those communities. And you could see those young people as the leaders in those communities in terms of digital, all right? So we hosted hackathon, which is one of the way I think that you can drive the passion for innovation and creating solutions to problems in your community. And when we were selecting the challenges, we took problems in those communities. When we go to Bamenda, we will take agriculture and food security because that is one of the regions that are heavily affected by food security crisis because of the crisis that's going on. When we go to the north, we will take education. And we will ask ourselves that, hey, young people in the north, can you use digital technologies to find solutions to better the state of education in the northern region? And we call it education beyond the walls. Because if you don't have classroom, how can you still educate using digital technologies? And for us, going around the country was to bridge that digital divide and to have a national digital ecosystem. And then we can bring everybody to the summit. And the summit was more about consolidation. To create a thriving digital ecosystem, you need everybody. You need the young people passionate about digital technology. You need startups and entrepreneurs. You need the government. You need the corporate like MTN and the rest. You need all parts of the government to be able to support with the right policies. And you need development organizations to bring some form of patient capital to be able to build the ecosystem and all of that. You need these people and you need to find a way to connect them. And the summit was about bringing all of those people to have bold conversation about if we want to introduce digital in every aspect, how do we do it, right? And in terms of the government was there. We had 2 ministers that attended.
Yes.
We saw Her Excellency Madame Lee Libong, who was there, who was the patron of the event, who launched the event. We had the Minister of Youth who were there. We rallied about 8,000 people plus at Palais de Congrès for 3 days. We had close to about 100 businesses exhibiting. And with all of this, and with the government present, it came to the point where we're like, okay, we now have a summit, a technology and digital summit that is of Cameroon. Now we can make it bigger. And bigger means that having now tough conversations. Okay, Madam Minister, what is our policy relating to artificial intelligence? What is our plan relating to data sovereignty in our country? We can now have this conversation, but then now we know that the government is willing to have this conversation and willing to support. And that is enough to build a digital ecosystem.
Okay, and because we really believe this tech summit should have impact, because after this summit, we are expecting some impact because you did a great job.
Yeah.
I can say that here internally we say play your part. You play your part.
Yeah.
And so my first question will be, what were the main outcomes of this summit, and how can we leverage on this outcome, those positive outcomes, to continue to drive digitalization? And how do you see the perspective of digitalization, since now we see that, for example, the government is interested, enterprises are interested, even the population, even the developers, even the startups, they are all interested. I can say that all the ecosystem is already aware of what should be done to ensure that we are pushing the digital, and now we should just take concrete action and then move to the next step and put it as a tool to ensure that we are driving the development. What were the main outcomes, and what, on the short term, what will we do to ensure that we are pushing?
So, in terms of the main outcome, last year we trained 1,000 young people across the 10 regions of the country. So that was like a big outcome for us, right? For the hackathons, we generated 200 prototypes, which means that solutions that are attempting to solve problems in different communities, right? That was one. The third thing is we have now this consciousness that we have to build the ecosystem from all the different players. That was another outcome. So in terms of next steps, what I think is to build on that. Today, if we wanted to pass an information about digital in Maroa, we have young people in Maroa that are in this digital ecosystem. If we wanted to do the same in the West, we have in the Northwest and all of that. So you could build on this network and start a campaign of improving education in terms of this is how you use digital technology. You can use it to get a job, or you could use it to create a job by building a business. This is how you can use digital technology. You could use it to improve the business of your mother who is running an SME. Now it is to drive this conversation, right? And overall, because most of the time here in Cameroon, we talk a lot. We have many solutions in our head. We have them in books.
We are very, very clever.
We are the continent, right? There's so many things that we know we can do, right? We are conscious. We even say them to people and give advice. But the problem is that we don't take our own advice. For me, as an entrepreneur and as a technology ambassador in the country, what I always tell Cameroonians is just do something. Be bold, right? Do something. It takes one person to decide that we're going to go across the country and train 1,000 people. Imagine if 10 people make those decisions. We will have more things. So I have two things. I want to tell Cameroonians to stop talking and start doing. Because only by doing that you make mistakes, you correct your mistake, and you actually find the solutions to our problem. Nobody in another African country or wherever is coming to help us. it is only Cameroonians that we're going to fix our own problems. That's one. The second thing is that we have to be bold, right? Being bold means that you should be able to make audacious strike, right? You should not sit and try to do it really little or try to just do it in your own corner. You should take upon yourself that this is a problem that digital technology can solve. I'm going to go solve this problem. I'm going to try even if I'm going to fail. And I'm going to rally enough support to be able to fix it. I think that will be my advice to young Cameroonians and people who want to build the digital economy, because you don't build the digital economy by just talking about it. Building is an action word. Yeah, you need to take concrete action. Right? So I think that for me, that's the next step. One, we need to continue educating, because education is a key part of digital divide. Digital literacy, that's the first, and I think that MTN is doing a lot of that. I see MTN moving in the different region as well. Digital literacy is one. We need to double down on that. We need to find a way to partner with universities to trickle down this digital literacy, let it go to the university, so that young people don't leave the school and they don't have this in mind. Because I really think that digital literacy and the digital technology can bridge the gap of unemployment. If the government and the corporate cannot give everybody a job, the rest of the people can create jobs. Every year, our university release thousands and hundreds of young people graduate, and most of them are out there with a phone, with internet connection, and the right knowledge. These people can create things for themselves, right? So we need to continue with education, and then advocacy. No country is going to change if the government doesn't want it to change. So we need to continue advocacy. The big brands like MTN, we the entrepreneurs and the technology enthusiasts, we need to be able to sit down with the government and say, hey, madam, hey, your excellency, this is how we should do it. Let's try if it's going to work.
Yeah, and I think that she is open, and we continue to push and ensure that we are really continue to impacting this digitalization.
Yeah.
So you said something very interesting when you were talking. You mentioned the business, and I wanted you to deep dive on this point, because I'm sure that people that will be on this program will be, most of them will be business people. So I wanted you to focus on how they can push the digitalization in the enterprise. Are there some very simple tips that they can use to start with digitalization, since now we all agree that there are definitely advantages to have digitalization, to have a digitalized enterprise? So what will be some key tips that you can give to them in the path through digitalization?
Okay, for small businesses, every small businesses need more sales, right? Because they want to grow, and the only way to grow is to have more sales, right? Every small business need visibility. They want people to see them and know what they do. But my advice to SME, first step is that you need to understand digital technology and have some of it. So if you're a small business, you should have a phone or you should have a computer. And you should invest some time to take some training to understand the different kinds of digital technology available to you and how you can use them. A lot of SMEs are on Facebook, but I don't think they know 1% of the power of Facebook. A lot of SMEs in Cameroon have an MTN SIM card, but I don't think that they know 1% of all the digital services that MTN provides to SMEs and how they can use it. But if you do not invest that time to understand those digital technologies available to you, you cannot use them. So number one for SME is education, digital literacy. SMEs need to understand the things that are available for them, how it works and how it can help their business. The second thing is that they need to have the digital technology, the basic ones, a phone, a computer. The third thing is that SMEs need to optimize their process, right? In terms of every small business should keep some form of accounting. right? And you could do that with Excel sheet, and that is one such digital technology. What are my stock? What are my input? And what are my output? And you could keep that. And that alone is enough to use some form of artificial intelligence to mine that data and tell you if you're making profit or not.
Yeah.
The bank can use that data to decide if they are going to give you credit or not to grow your business. These are all digital tools that SMEs can put in place, right, to be able to improve. Today, in terms of like content creation, you have artificial intelligence that is available to understand your business and create content for you and put it out there on Facebook. But you need to understand how Facebook, Instagram work in such a way that when the content is created, you can publish it in an optimized way to give you the visibility that you need. All these technologies are available on the smartphone. You need digital literacy to be able to harness all of them.
Yes. And while you are talking about this training, I just wanted to remind to everybody that is watching, of course, that we have this MTN Business Academy program that is a very, very complete program that can help SME to have more insight on how they can drive their business. So the subscription are already open, so they can subscribe by going to our page, MTN Business Cameroon. Then we have more information on there. So now I may say that we talk about SME, we talk about states, but at the individual level, what will be your advice to somebody as individual, nothing to see with the enterprise, state, the country, etc., as individual, if I'm not yet in digitalization, how can I enter inside it? Considering that I don't especially have money to buy a smartphone, for example, or can I access to a minimum smartphone that can help me to enter in this digitalization and take those advantage of digitalization, considering that digitalization is not absolutely equal to have access to internet. Even a feature phone can help somebody to access to digitalization. How will you, what will be your advice to somebody like this who is saying that, okay, after this podcast, he get everything about the importance of digitalization, now we want to enter inside it? How can we do it? I'm not considering his age, I'm not considering his social category, I'm not considering this. It's very like, how do you say, plan?
Base.
Basically, how can somebody do to enter to digitalization?
So I think there are two ways to enter into digitalization, right? The first one is to have a digital tool, and the first one is to have the digital knowledge, knowing that there's something like that exists. And the second one is to have a digital tool. That's the only way you can get in. Many years ago, we used to go to cyber cafe and do computer programming in cyber cafe. We had the knowledge that you could go to the cyber cafe and have access to internet, and you search for data and everything, right? And we go there to go and get the data, right? If we don't have the idea, we will not go there. So the first thing for somebody that wants to get in, who is watching this podcast, what I'll tell them that they should subscribe and click the bell button, because they need to keep watching the things that are happening here in such a way that they can be digital literate. First. The second thing is, today you have feature phones that have a browser. You have feature phones that have little things like YouTube and all of that, right? You could continue that digital literacy by watching videos on YouTube or by watching it on this podcast, right? When you have that knowledge, you will understand the things that you can do, and you can do more, because the world of digital is so broad. Today we are talking about the basic things, right? In America, they are talking about moving a whole set of people to create the first colony in Mars. All right. So today we are talking about getting people to use feature phone. There's a set of people saying, how do we create the first colony in Mars, and what will be the government in Mars? How will we organize things and all of that? So some people are already thinking about another planet. and they have designed digital technologies that will take them there, right? So the first thing is the people that are going to be more aware of digital technology need to be educated about digital technology to the best of their knowledge. And by this individual, I don't even mean those who are still entering. Even the people who are using digital technology today, there are all sorts of angles that you need to go deeper and master it.
Yeah.
Because digital technology is going to be, I don't know how to call it in English, but it's going to be the turning point of a society that is going to survive and the one that is going to disappear. And we as a people and as Cameroonians, we should be aware of this fact, right? The society that are going to thrive, solve their problems, and be able to move to another level, and the ones that are going to stay where they are and even disappear, is going to be determined by how much their people understand digital technology and the possibilities and how they can use that possibilities to better their life.
Yeah. And I think that we are at the end of our program.
Yeah.
It was very interesting.
Yeah.
I think that we are very, very proud of the big job that you are doing for Africa, for Cameroon.
Yeah.
And since in this program we want to stay positive, we want to share positive things to our people.
Yeah.
So what maybe I want you to say a beautiful word around digitalization for sure, and to let people continue to dream just after this program.
Yeah. Well, I've been saying these things since a couple of years, and I like to say it at the podcast. For Cameroonians or Africans, the first thing to do is to be bold. There is no way that we can create the country that we want, or we can create the environment that we want for our children and our children's children if we are not bold. Somebody, somewhere, has to be bold to stand in the gap and say that this particular thing, I am going to fix it.
Yeah.
This particular problem, I will find the solution using digital. We have to be bold. The second thing is we have to be visionary. We have to be visionary enough to know that the solution that we create today, we might not be the people to enjoy it.
Yeah.
So we need to think long term, and it has to be for the greater good. That's what it means by to be visionary.
Yeah.
The third thing is that we have to be resilient, because for a country like our own that we are still developing, most of the things that we're going to see are obstacles. But should you stop you from not going ahead? The fact that a new cut light for 10 days in your quartier, should it stop you from not learning? No. It's part of resilience.
Yeah.
Leave where you are, go around Aqua Palace when there's light, plug your computer and learn something.
Yeah.
Right? It's okay to complain that there was no power because Enyo did their thing.
Yeah.
But the nicer thing to say is that Enyo took power and I moved and I went to my friend's place, or I went to this place when there was internet and power and I used it. So we have to be resilient.
Yeah.
Because all what we'll see in a developing economy is stumbling blocks, and we have to find a way to hope through, right?
Yeah.
And so be bold, be visionary, be resilient, and there's a last one, right? So be bold, be visionary, be resilient, and be limitless. I don't think that Cameroonian understands or African understand the potential, right, and the power that they have over their predicament. It is only when you think limitless that you can meet that potential, right? If you don't say that you're going to go around the country and try to do it, you will not know that you have the ability to do that and to impact that many lives, right? So only by being limitless and finding the edges of your potential that you'll be able to do amazing things.
Yes.
So those are the things that I want to tell the people watching this podcast. Be bold, be visionary, be resilient, and be limitless.
Yes, very, very good, very good. So, how can I say? I'm very happy
Yeah.
for this conversation. I'm triste.
Yeah.
We say triste
Please.
to close this.
Yeah.
But with this positive word, and as what Disney said, if you can dream it, means that you can do it.
You can do it.
So we will close on this beautiful word.
Yeah.
And stay connected. Just click on subscribe button. Just click on bell notification to have to be informed of the new video podcast that we will have, and we believe that we will reach this dream together.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.